Colts at Jets. As of this morning, Anthony Richardson has been renamed the starting quarterback. Oof. Who knows by Sunday? Just because, we don't know. I don't actually know who's making the decisions there. I don't know if it's the owner. I don't know if it's the general manager.
I think
I don't know. Yeah, okay, all right. I don't know. Look, but I just,
let's not beat around the bush here. We know.
So Anthony Richardson's now back in the lineup. Obviously, that's something that matters because he stylistically is so different than Joe Flacco. And you and I have talked about that here on the show, specifically with how much better it feels like they run the football with Anthony Richardson out there, not just with him as a rushing threat himself, but also the fact that he is such a threat to throw it deep that defenses have to play a little bit further back. They have to keep safeties back there. They have to play with lighter boxes. And so that obviously helps Jonathan Taylor. And I'll get to him in a second. But my matchup that matters is the Jets wide receivers versus the Colts defensive backs specifically, because when you look at this group, I think it's those deeper passes that the Jets haven't done a ton of this. They haven't had a ton of 15-yard throws, especially over the last couple of weeks. It feels like the offense is really difficult. I mean, all season long, it feels like it's been really difficult for this team. But Garrett Wilson, 16 catches of 15 or more yards. That's tied for 8th in the league. So when it's happened, it's gone to Garrett Wilson. But with Devontae Adams, since he's been a New York Jet, 5 catches for 15 yards. Can that be its most efficient form of their offense? Yet it should, in theory, against a Colts secondary that has struggled to defend such passes. 21.9 coverage grade on passes of 15 or more yards yet this season. It's not dead last in the NFL, but I think it's like 22nd, 23rd. It's not great. So this is a matchup where the Jets offense, they like to play a certain way, and it's a frustrating way. When it's not working, it looks like you're just beating your head against a brick wall. But for this game, they got to like their matchups of ISO one-on-one ball with their wide receivers versus the Colts corner. So we'll see if the Colts corners are ready for the challenge. They're up to it, and they're going to play their best game yet because they've struggled in that area so far this season, especially when it's been deeper down the field. So that, to me, is my matchup that matters. What do you got in this one?
I cheated a little bit because of the things that were coming out in the media this week, just about what Jeff Ulbrich is trying to do with this team. It's the Jets defense versus the Bags / the scout team, because apparently the Jets are going back to fundamentals and they are working on tackling this week. They were given a whole tackling presentation going back to the fundamentals. They're going to be hitting the bags, which is, all the dummies and the different kinds of padding and stuff that coaches will use in these drills. And I would have to think, going against the scout team, you're only allowed a certain amount of padded practices per season under the NFL CBA. I believe it's about 14 in the regular season. You're allowed padded practices. So that's what's happened on Wednesday. And this has to be a last-ditch effort to figure out how to fix something that is tremendously wrong with the Jets defense. When I looked at the numbers where they started the season out, when they were under Robert Saleh, they were 6th in EPA per play allowed. Mm-hmm. And then they were like middle of the pack in missed tackles. Since Robert Saleh was fired, they are dead last in EPA per play allowed. They have the most missed tackles in the league. That is an incredible implosion with what was such a bright spot and strength of this team under a defensive head coach. It has all fallen. The wheels have fallen off completely when it comes to the Jets defense. And that's making things hard on the team itself. That's making things hard on the offense, having to score points, which they haven't really been able to do that much. It's all bad. And so when you're talking about going back to fundamentals and working on tackling drills, that is literally trying to build this defense back up brick by brick, coach brick, if you will. And it's just, I know, play on words there. We'll see how it goes, and if the team is bought in enough, and if they have hope enough. I know Aaron Rodgers said that there's still hope, but I tweeted it out right after he said it after the game and they lost. Was that he said the same thing his last year with the Packers, and to his credit, Green Bay then went out and won the next 4 games, I believe it was 3 or 4 games. They basically ran the table until the last game of the season when the Detroit Lions knocked them out of the playoffs out of spite in Lambeau, which I was in attendance for, and it was pretty satisfying, to be honest. I just don't see this working out for the Jets, and So it's the Jets defense versus.
What did you say? How many padded practices do you get during the season? What did you say?
I believe it's 14.
Okay.
During the regular season. Yeah. So, there's more that you're allowed to do in training camp. And then you get a couple in the postseason too if you want them. But a lot of teams elect not to do that.
If I'm Jeff Ulbrich, I'm like, I don't care. I'm like, I don't care. We're going over 14. I'm the interim head coach. I'm not going to have this spot anyways. Find the team. I don't care. Doesn't matter to me. I'm going full Herman Boone. Remember the Titans. We're going to do 2 days until you guys absolutely get it right. Yeah. That's if I was Jeff Ulbrich, that's what I'd be doing. Figured out. They have the second most missed tackles in the NFL this year. Yeah, you talk about like, oh, they don't have the pass rush, they don't have scheme, the corners not playing.
Since Salah got fired, they have the most missed tackles in the league. It's wild.
Missing tackles is about fundamentals and wanting to. And I just don't feel like this team
I don't think they want to.
And I always hate going after and talking about that stuff because like these dudes are competitive. They are working their asses off. And the margin for error at the pro game is so small. So I really do hate questioning things like effort and attitude and things like that. But when you have that many missed tackles, that's a mental thing. Missing that many tackles is a mental thing, especially for a defense that we have seen be good before. And I know they've sort of struggled with tackling, but it's never been this bad. So it's got to be way better.
They were middle of the pack under Salah. And I do feel like that, like, because you kind of think about it too, and you're like, how does a head coach really matter that much when you're talking about missed tackles on the field? Like, the coach isn't out there playing, but what you can do as a defensive coach is put your guys in better positions to make those tackles. And I think that that's the breakdown we're seeing because you look again at those EPA per play statistics and how the Jets defense is dead last since Salah was fired. That's the kind of stuff you're talking about where this defensive game plan is just not working for them. It's not putting players in the right positions. They are having to overcompensate for things that are going completely wrong given the fact that their leader is gone.
Yeah. Plus factor really quick, it is Jonathan Taylor for me. They've got to be able to run the ball better. Taylor has not had a rushing grade above 70 since week 3 this season. And he had 2, I think, back-to-back, week 2, week 3. He had 2 games in a row where he had a rushing grade above 70. He has not had one since week 3. So with Richardson back, they've been able to run the ball better when Richardson has been in the lineup. That has to be their bread and butter here. That's got to be something that they get back to. And if this team is going to finish the year the way they want to, no doubt about it. I passing game, different styles, all that kind of stuff. They got to run the ball better, and it's got to start this week. What do you got?
Yeah, mine goes back to what you were talking about with Anthony Richardson, because obviously if he can't make it happen on this second chance behind this offensive line, by the way, then when will he? I mean, you really need to figure it out. That's why kind of the Joe Flacco experience was kind of just... it didn't make a whole lot of sense because you need to figure out if Anthony Richardson is your guy. And again, he's in a good spot to do it. I mean, this Colts offensive line does not get the credit that it deserves, given the fact that they've got the second highest overall PFF grade, 80.9 as an offensive line, the second best run blocking grade, fourth best pass blocking grade, 82 pressures allowed in pass protection, which is a little bit middle of the road, but I mean, this is a really, really, really good unit. And this is exactly what you want in front of a young quarterback to help him develop and be able to make decisions and all that kind of stuff, even if he's taking a little bit longer to hold the ball. This is the offensive line that can put up with it. And you need to figure it out. So let's see what Anthony Richardson can do. Is he just going to keep chucking the ball down the field with zero regard for who's down there, kind of like the F-it balls? Or can you kind of get him into more of a rhythm, which is what you want to see out of your franchise quarterback?
Thanks for watching, everybody. Make sure you like and subscribe the video. And if you don't have a PFF Plus subscription, you can get one to see all the premium stats that we talked about here on the show, plus the expert betting and fantasy advice over at subscribe.pff.com. The description is also right below. So if you are not a PFF Plus subscriber, you can come one today.